Hi everyone, this is Allison Gross and welcome to my third installment of Drunk Literature. Drink of choice is Ace Pineapple Cider. Ooh god, this stuff is delicious.
I haven't tried that yet. Oh, and by the way, this is Marquis Fornius.
Yes.
Hi everyone. I'm a bit camera shy. Sorry.
Oh, he needs to learn to get over it. But at least you actually get to hear him talk this time, so that I don't have to be like, "Ooh, Funnies is talking about random shit." Can I have some cider back, please?
That's really nice cider. Love pineapple.
So
I'm gonna put it all over my Hawaiian pizza.
Oh god, that's so disgusting.
Actually, that would be really nice with Hawaiian pizza.
So yeah, this is one of my very favorite ciders, the Ace Pineapple Cider, and it is the season when Ace makes their pumpkin cider, which I totally love, so I need to go find some place that has it. But my liquor store of choice recently does not have Ace cider, which is sad, but they have my very, very favorite cider of all time, Mackenzie. I got more black cherry and oh my god. But also, Mackenzie has seasonal pumpkin cider. It is seriously like alcoholic pumpkin pie in a bottle. It is the best thing ever.
Well, yeah, I probably should mention I'm drunk too. Very drunk.
Yeah, he's drunk.
I had a bottle of brandy. Well, not a bottle, a glass.
He had an ice cream sundae glass of brandy.
It was the only thing that didn't have soap stains in it.
I know, because what you don't understand. See, the reason it's bad that you're back there is because I keep trying to turn to talk to you, and then I'm looking away from the camera.
No, it's okay. Just keep looking at the camera.
So the problem is that America, like, the dishwashing liquid used to be better, and apparently some ordinance was passed that made it worse, like that made it less effective by removing some thing from it, probably DDT. I don't know.
What? DDT is not a dishwashing liquid.
Right. But apparently my friend keeps telling me that there's ways that you can buy it surreptitiously on the internet. It's called Bubble Bandit. So if your dishwashing liquid is not getting your stuff clean, apparently you're supposed to try this. I don't know. I'm too lazy and cheap to do it, at least yet.
Do it, Amanda.
So,
should I just say your real name? You should probably cut that out.
Oh, whatever. I've posted my real name on... whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
So, today we are doing our first poem by John Donne.
It's called The Flea!
Yes, it is.
And it's about sex!
Yes, it is. Everything that John Donne writes is about sex.
Is he the, Reformed Christian guy?
Yes.
Yeah, we studied him. Can't remember which poem we studied, though. Oh, that's right, it was about that he was complaining that the sun was rising and he wasn't finished having sex with a girl. Mm-hmm. You know the one I'm talking about, probably.
He's written a bunch of poems like that. That is a type of poem called an aubade. I believe it means dawn song, but I'm not sure. But essentially, it is what Fornius just said. It's a poem that a guy writes, or supposedly composes, but obviously he composes it before the fact, because who actually thinks of a poem at that point?
Only the most romantic people.
Yes, that it's a post-sex poem where you're like, honey, I gotta get up and go to work, and that really sucks, because I'd rather stay in bed and have sex with you. So, just to show everybody what a freaking English nerd I am, I wrote an aubade for the night that I lost my virginity.
Wow, you're gonna be really embarrassed in the morning talking about that.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, except wasn't your first time really bad?
No,
It's just with the guy you didn't like.
Yeah, but I accidentally tripped over a homeless guy in the process, but, yeah, so that part was kind of awkward. But yeah, I was inspired by this poet, John Donne, and so I wrote an aubade. Obviously, it's not sincere because I wrote it in advance, and then, yeah. But, I felt like I had to do it because me being the English nerd I am, how could I not write an aubade for that? But...
Are there many aubades, like, from the perspective of women?
No.
Are there any?
Other than mine, none that I know of.
Huh.
Well, because women don't have to leave guys in bed to, go to work.
Oh, yeah, because they don't work.
Yep.
Yeah, they just get to sit around and do nothing. At least the noblemen's.
Yes. So, the thing with John Donne, he writes a lot of aubades. So that's one thing about him. The poem we're doing today is not an aubade. But the other thing he does, which I'm not sure if this poem does or not, but is he combines sex and religion a lot. This is why I fucking love this poet.
Yeah, because you're weird like that.
Yes, I am weird like that. Because I was...
because you're an evil witch, and you...
No, I was about to say because Catholics are hot, but actually Donne was not Catholic because by this point England was Protestant, but whatever.
It still had some trace of Catholicism, probably.
It was Anglicanism, which is Catholic light. Yeah. So the thing is that John Donne, originally he was like this total sex poet who went around and just wrote all these aubades and seduction poems. And he did a fair amount. Remember last time we talked about Carpe Diem? He did a fair amount of Carpe Diem-esque writing. Actually, this poem that we're going to be doing today is Carpe Diem-esque. It's not as blatantly Carpe Diem as the previous poem, but it's a guy trying to persuade a girl to set aside her scruples and have sex with him. So this is the sort of poetic vein that Donne started out at, and he had kind of a scandalous personal life. I think he was tutoring. He got hired to tutor some lord's young daughter.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, and then he had sex with her, and he got caught, and shit happened.
Wow, this famous sex poet. This is the perfect man to tutor my young hot daughter.
But
seriously, what the hell was that guy thinking?
This happens so often.
Really?
That many famous writers this happens with. This is the whole... I'm not going to go into Abelard and Heloise right now. I'll do that some other time.
Do these people not actually read and either get things that they just make? They're just like, oh, this guy's famous. I'm going to use this for status.
I guess. Well, I guess a lot of people wrote sex poetry, so... Maybe they couldn't find anybody who didn't do that.
You couldn't separate the people who just wrote it from the people who actually lived it.
Yeah. I think they pretty much all kind of lived it, but Donne, I think, kind of did a little bit more. Then at some point he had, this religious conversion thing.
Yep.
I think maybe we should just ignore Fornius at this point. Maybe he'll just stop. And so he switched over and wrote all these religious poems. Like, for instance, he wrote the cycle of Holy Sonnets, some of which we're probably going to read at a later date. And but the thing that's notable about Donne is that he continues to use sex imagery in his religious poems, which is so hot. Oh my god.
So weird.
his Holy Sonnet number 10 is like the sexiest thing in existence.
Oh, maybe you should read that after this.
I've read it to you before. You've heard it.
I can't remember. I'm drunk.
Well, so if I read it while you're drunk, you'll just not remember it when you're sober, so there's no point.
Yeah, well, viewers. Maybe you should read it in this video.
We'll see how long it takes me to get through the Flea.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that Donne is known for is this thing called the conceit, which essentially means a really elaborate, like, kind of unusual and bizarre metaphor.
Let's order pizza.
No, it's fucking midnight 30.
Midnight 30?
Yes, I am very soon going to have the drunchies, but that does not mean we have to order pizza.
The drunchies?
Yeah, it means the drunk munchies. It means that you get a craving to eat because you're drunk.
Well, that's what the cupcake's for.
No! He keeps trying to eat all my roommate's food, and it's kind of gross food anyway.
What? What's wrong with the cupcake? What's wrong with the pizza?
I don't like plain cheese pizza. The cupcakes are okay, but, you know.
No.
So, anyway, these sort of elaborate, bizarre metaphors, which are called conceits for whatever reason, is kind of what Donne's poetry is known for. Oh, yes! And I did not tell you the time period that Donne writes in. That was so remiss of me, because I am drunk.
I feel ashamed.
I don't. He writes during the early 1600s, probably around the reign of James I, who is the guy who ruled England after Queen Elizabeth.
James II was the cool one, right?
No.
Another king with another name. Was it Henry?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh.
Alright, so this poem is basically all about the conceit. So, this is the Flea. And yes, I actually do teach this in my classes. I think my students are reading it this week.
They're probably too stupid to get it.
No, so a lot of them do get it.
They're just too embarrassed to say it.
They say it in very, like,
roundabout ways.
Yeah, very polite terms.
You disappointed?
No! God, where is your mind?
I'm drunk. What do you think it is? And you're about to read a sex poem.
Oh, God. Alright. Don't interrupt me while I'm reading.
No, I know. I'll just do finger puppets.
Oh, God. This was a bad idea.
Yes, it was.
I tried to get him to, like, feed me Vegemite while I'm drunk so that it would be less painful, but
I told
that's been nixed. We'll make a video of that some other time.
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe. So the Flea. Mark but this Flea. And mark in this, how little that which thou deniest me is. It sucked me first, and now sucks thee, and in this Flea our two bloods mingled be. Thou knowest that this cannot be said a sin, nor shame, nor loss of maidenhead. Yet this enjoys before it woo, and pampered swells with one blood made of two. And this, alas, is more than we would do.
You're such a good kitty. Yes, you are.
O stay 3 lives in one Flea spare, when we almost, yea, more than married are. This Flea is you and I, and this our marriage bed and marriage temple is. Though parents grudge and you, we are met and cloistered in these living walls of jet. Though use make you apt to kill me, yet not to that self-murder added be, and sacrilege 3 sins in killing 3. Cruel and sudden hast thou since purpled thy nails in blood of innocence. Wherein could this Flea guilty be, except in that drop which it sucked from thee? Yet thou triumphest, and say that thou findest not thyself nor me the weaker now. 'Tis true, then learn how false fears be. Just so much honour, when thou yieldest to me, will waste as this Flea's death took life from thee. So, this is a really, really kind of weird poem.
When he was talking about, like, killing 3 people, he was talking about killing the Flea and the 2 mingled bloods, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Yeah, no, this poem is As I said, it's a guy trying to persuade a girl to have sex with him.
Because a flea bit her.
Well, no, not because a flea bit her. This is the conceit, the elaborate, bizarre metaphor. Is, the sort of romantic notion that when two people, have sex, that they are one.
Aww.
Does this guy actually think this? No, of course he doesn't. He's trying to get the woman to have sex with him.
Yeah, well, he's supposed to be more religious now, right?
No, not when he wrote this poem. This is one of his early poems.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's nothing religious about this poem.
I'm sure Flea is sacred in some religion.
Yes, well. So, basically what
But of course that's one of the inferior black religions, not a superior...
Stop fucking saying that on my channel! Seriously, shut the fuck up! I do not subscribe to any of these notions that he says, just ignore him, he is fucking drunk, and yes, I know that sometimes we take political correctness too far, but there are limits. Humor does not translate well over the internet, or sarcasm, or whatever the fuck he's doing. No!
You're so mean.
Seriously, do not make things that can be construed as racist jokes on my channel. It's really not cool.
We're making fun of racism. We're not making racist jokes.
Yeah, I know, but that humor is lost, especially over the internet.
But we just explained how we're doing it, so now we can do it more. Sorry, continue with your explanation.
Be quiet, Fornies. Basically, what he's trying to say is, well, having sex is us becoming one, but you see, that flea over there bit me, so my blood is inside the flea. And then it jumped onto you and bit you. And so your blood is inside the flea. And since both our bloods are inside the flea and have combined, we're already one. So we've basically already had sex.
Hi, kitty.
So why not do it again? Because we've basically already had sex.
Yeah.
And he says that this, meaning being bitten by the flea and having it drink your blood, is not a sin nor shame nor loss of maidenhead, meaning, well, since you didn't commit a sin or lose your virginity by being bitten by this flea, and since that's equivalent to us having sex, none of that stuff will happen if we have sex.
Well, she'll still be a virgin.
Yeah. Because, having sex...
We're already one.
Yeah, having sex is no more serious than being bitten by a flea.
He's gonna learn subtly.
And
Does he learn subtly later?
No, he gives up sex and turns to being religious.
Yeah. Don't see why you need to give up sex to do that.
To be religious? Well, in that time and in that culture. And he says, yet this, meaning the flea, enjoys before it woo, meaning, our culture teaches us that we need to wait until after we're married to have sex. But this flea drank your blood, which is the, at least equivalent to having sex, and it never even bothered to court you. And you're still fine. So therefore, you can totally have sex with me without doing any of that stuff, and you'll still be fine, just like you being bitten by this flea, and you were still fine. And he says that we are almost more than married because our blood is mingled in the flea.
And don't think about killing the flea.
No.
Because that would be killing 3 people.
Well, not 3 people. It would be killing 1 flea and the 2 people. whose bloods are in the flea. I don't know why he says they would die because she kills the flea, but
he must have some mistakes about the magical properties of Flea.
I think this is not clear, but I think all of this talk about killing is supposed to at least subconsciously invoke the concept at the time
Of the little death.
exactly that, so I've heard a lot.
It's really awkward for you to talk about, isn't it?
No, it's really awkward that you keep interrupting me.
Uh,
I've heard a... Nah. Ow! Oh my god! Wow! You bent my finger backwards.
Wait, I was just defending myself.
That's what they all say.
You guys saw it. It was self-defense, right?
It's everything because you're hiding in a corner, damn it. Oh god. I'm almost out of alcohol.
Should I get you more, my lady?
Maybe.
Where is it?
Where is what? The alcohol?
Yes.
There's probably some in the fridge.
Okay.
Anyway, good. Now I can actually talk normally because he's going to be gone for a while. Don't hurry! I think it's actually in the basement.
Okay. If I get bit by a spider, it's your fault.
The spiders here are not dangerous, damn it. So I've heard multiple explanations of the little death, which is basically, it was a euphemism during the time period to refer to sex. I've heard multiple explanations of it. Yes, we actually do talk about this in English classes. I am convinced that English classes are for, sexually repressed people who don't know how to express it in any other way, which is totally how it worked for me. But some people have said, there was this theory that, because having sex was, or at least enjoying sex was bad. So, by doing so, you were using up your life because it was bad for you in a spiritual sense. And one, thank you. Could you please? No, not this one. I want to enjoy this while I'm sober.
Oh, the pumpkin cider?
Yes.
Okay. I think I have a pineapple cider. Want me to get a cranberry one?
Sure. Or there's a pineapple one in the back.
Oh, okay.
Or it's the physical actions during sex, the fact that your heart races and your breath catches and you may fall over or something, that the behavior, it's like dying, and especially when you're done you kind of just lie there, that's why it's called a little death. Or because everything in this period was male centric, what happens after you have sex, which is referred to as dying. So, I don't know which of these explanations is actually why they call it that, or some combination thereof. No, thank you.
Couldn't find a pineapple cider.
That's because you were...
wheat beer. That was yummy.
It's because you were looking in the wrong place.
I looked and looked and looked and I couldn't find it.
So I think that's why he's talking all of this stuff about. As he says, though use make you apt to kill me. And this I think is definitely a double meaning.
Double entendre.
Because use, my text has a note that says it means custom. And that means, on one hand, he means, custom, convention, society is telling you, to be cold and standoffish to me, to play it coy and not, give me what I want physically. And that's going to kill me. This is a very common convention in these love poems that, it's going to kill me to have you refuse me. And so custom
He's
is...
guilting her.
Yes. Custom is going
I'm going to get super blue ball. Death ball.
Death ball? What the fuck?
It's like blue ball, but death.
Yeah. Yeah, that argument has been around for a long time.
Well, you don't know how men work, so it will kill me if I don't have sex.
Yeah. So, so that's one thing that he's saying, all these moral, social customs are telling you to refuse me, which will kill me. But on the other hand, use, because use means, sex.
Of course it does.
If she were to actually put him to use, it would kill him. Because then he would no longer have super blue balls. So I think there's a double meaning in that. But it's actually a triple meaning because it also means the, killing of him by crushing the flea.
Triple meaning! Oh my god! My student brain is too dumb to comprehend.
I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna bitch at you and blame you.
I get paid for this. I don't get paid for this right now, but this is actually what I get paid to do.
Just get bitched at, yeah.
No, I meant to explain poems with multiple meanings. Actually, I mostly don't get paid to do that. Because I'm an adjunct and I don't have a PhD, but that's a long story. Blah, blah, blah. We won't get into that right now. And he says, this, meaning the flea, our marriage bed and marriage temple is. So, basically, what he's saying is that since their blood mingling inside the flea is like them having sex, therefore, the body of the flea is their marriage bed. This is where this gets really weird. And he says, we are met and cloistered in these living walls of jet.
Flea's black?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He means the black exoskeleton of the flea. So yeah, there's a way to make a gross thing sound really beautiful and romantic.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things
Jet's a type of rock, right?
I think it's fossil.
Petrified wood, that's right.
Mm.
It's a type of petrified wood.
Mm.
We are too drunk.
And so then he says, like, oh, don't kill the flea because it's not guilty of anything. And he says, except in that drop which it sucked from thee. But he's kind of saying, like, well, how could you expect the flea not to bite you? You're so gorgeous.
Mm.
You are really drunk, dude. And he says, yet thou triumphest and say that thou findest not thyself, nor me the weaker now. Which he's saying, okay, so the flea went and took your blood, but you're triumphant. You've gotten rid of the flea. You're no weaker now than before the flea bit you.
So we might as well just have sex.
Exactly. He's like, it didn't hurt you to be bit by the flea, so of course it's not going to hurt you to have sex.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah.
He says, then learn how false fears be. And he says, just so much honor when thou yieldest to me, and by yield he means give your virginity to me, will waste as this flea's death took life from thee. So he says your honor, meaning your moral value, will not be diminished by you having sex with me any more than the flea biting you diminished your honor.
Hi, kitty. You're so cute, kitty. Sorry.
Okay, so that actually was a little bit shorter than I expected. This is a pretty short poem, so I will take, god damn it, Fordyce's advice and do Holy Sonnet number 10 as well, so we can see the two faces of Donne. One of his early career pure sex poems, and then one of his religious poems, which is really about sex.
Yeah. Sonnets are short, right?
Yes, sonnets are short. Oh yeah, except this is going to take a long time because I'm going to have to explain about the sonnet form, but whatever. Actually, I'll do that. So, a sonnet is a 14-line poem, and there's two basic types of sonnets. The English or Shakespearean sonnet, and the Italian or Petrarchan sonnet. And the basics of the sonnet are... So the Italian or Petrarchan sonnet is grouped into two sections, the octave and the sestet, which, the octave is 8 lines, and the sestet is 6 lines.
Get a sonnet.
But why? They invented it. Like, Petrarch was the guy who came up with the sonnet.
Well, thing is that words in Italian are really easy to rhyme with each other.
Right, which is
compared
probably
to English.
Why they came up with the sonnet. Can you open this cider thing?
How?
I don't know. You should have thought of that before you brought it over here. You want to go open it?
How?
With a bottle opener.
Where is a bottle opener?
There's one in the silverware drawer in the kitchen. Don't bite it. Go. Go, go, go. Go, I'm gonna say that, damn it!
You're gonna look like such an idiot.
That's the point of this video, damn it!
In the kitchen, right?
Where is the silverware drawer? Who the fuck asks that? And so there's like these two main parts to the Italian sonnet, but we're not going to go into that in detail because John Donne is English, so he's writing an English or Shakespearean sonnet, which is not entirely. That is all kind of misnomers because people have written in English in the Italian sonnet format. And the other thing is that Shakespeare was not the first person to write sonnets in English. Thomas Wyatt and Henry Howard Earl of Surrey published Huddle's... Yes. Had published Huddle's Miscellany, which was a selection of sonnets, some of which were translated...
Hi guys, I'm back.
Oh my god, this is Fornes trying to do his really bad American accent.
Hi guys.
Can it, dude? This is Cider Boys, raspberry cider. Very delicious, not quite so good as the Ace Pineapple cider. This is my second favorite Cider Boys cider. My favorite is the peach cider, but that is a spring, early summer thing, so they don't have it anymore. They also apparently have pineapple cider. I'm very eager to try that. They now have cranberries.
You mean like this pineapple cider?
What?
You mean like this pineapple cider?
No, I mean this brand does a pineapple cider.
Oh.
So I'm interested to try it and see how it is.
Yeah.
Their peach cider is really good. Their cranberry cider is okay. I don't like it as well as the raspberry or the peach, but it's okay.
Remind me to make you a shandy sometime.
The fuck is a shandy?
It's beer and Sprite.
Okay, no, I fucking hate beer and I fucking hate Sprite. No.
Trust me, it's nice. Well, it doesn't have to be Sprite, but
you like beer, okay?
Well,
I don't. So, and they wrote some in the Italian format because they were translating from the Italian, but I think they also pioneered some examples of the Shakespearean sonnet, and there were other people who wrote in English who also used the Shakespearean sonnet form before Shakespeare used it. It's just called that because the English society are like fucking
Yeah, they have a huge
pussies who
hard-on.
just exactly they all just worship Shakespeare for I won't say for no fucking reason, but like
For not a justified reason.
he's not like I'm not saying that he doesn't have some good shit, but he's not all that he's cracked up to be in the academic community. Like he really isn't.
Yeah, he basically made plays for the mass market at the time.
I mean, there's some clever shit in there, but you know.
No, I will admit he subtly puts in his like own little things here and there, but
Oh yeah, and he didn't actually even like come up with a plot for pretty much any of his plays, but
well, yeah, they're all like based on history.
no, they're not.
Well, somewhat King Lear or mythology or whatever.
Yeah, or at least they're based on like folk tales. Like I think Romeo and Juliet is based on something from the Decameron or something. It's based on some Italian thing that he previously read. Wow, my wrist is really hurting now.
You know, come to think of it, I think Lovecraft had a lot of his stuff was based on other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the King in Yellow, like Hatzer, I mean. The King in Yellow existed before Lovecraft, I think.
Well, I am going to cut Lovecraft a break for two reasons. One, because he made his thing an open world so that other people could write in it. So
Yeah, that's a brilliant thing.
even though he's not like, you know, he's not necessarily coming up with his own ideas, at least he's not trying to present them like his own ideas and not trying to have a monopoly on them.
Mm.
And the other reason is because I did not have to spend many, many years of my life while I wanted to be studying other people, listening to people go on about how he's the greatest in the world.
He's the greatest in the world, and The Count of Monte Cristo sucks because it's a horrible book, because it's fun and exciting.
What? Where did that come from?
Well, you told me that's basically how the academic world views The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, I've never actually talked to anybody in academia about the Count of Monte Cristo, but I'm pretty sure that is how they would feel about it.
Kind of like Lord of the Rings.
Don't get me started.
Okay, we won't.
I do not count. And this is not even in college. This was in fucking 6th grade. We had to do these fucking stupid book reports where we wrote them on index cards. So it was tiny, little tiny. It was so annoying. But the teacher in fucking 6th grade.
6th grade.
6th grade was like, no, you cannot do a book report on Lord of the Rings because we only accept literature here. Yeah, we could fucking do book reports on stupid teen fiction. But we could not do it on but we could not do it on Lord of the Rings because he said stories about little furry things running around and not literature.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, I feel the need to murder something right now.
I should move out and stop trolling you.
So anyway, so the English or Shakespearean sonnet form is structured as 3 quatrains, meaning stanzas of 4 lines apiece, and a couplet. So that means that there's 3 sections which each have 4 lines, and they are usually rhymed A, B, A, B in each one. And then there's a couplet at the end that sums everything up. And so the way that sonnets are usually structured is that they use what's called inductive logic, which is also relevant to my job because this is also how I have students write
They
their
use inductive
papers.
logic?
Yeah, usually each quatrain, in a certain sense, gives an example of the point that the author is trying to make, and then the couplet sums it all up at the end. It's not an exact one-for-one correspondence in every sonnet, but you know, you can see at least echoes of it in this sonnet. Batter my heart, three-personed God, for you, as yet, but knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend, that I may rise and stand, or throw me and bend, your force to break, blow, burn, and make me new. I, like a usurped town, to another do labor to admit you, but oh, to no end. Reason your viceroy in me should defend, but is captive and proves weak or untrue. Yet dearly I love you, and would be loved fain, but am betrothed unto your enemy. Divorce me, untie, or break the knot again. Take me to you, imprison me, for I, except you enthrall me, never shall be free, never chaste, except you ravish me.
Oh.
So, yeah, this is...
No, this is reminding me something of South Park.
I just read you one of the hottest poems in existence, and it reminds you of fucking South Park? You don't deserve to be in my class.
I want you inside me, Jesus.
I can't believe this guy has actually gotten me to watch South Park, which I swore I would never do. I haven't seen this episode yet, but whatever.
Wasn't it Lily that did it? Kinda.
Well, she showed me the Warcraft episode, but...
Yeah. I'm not going to show you that episode. It isn't that good.
So, this poem, we start out, we have the first quatrain. So each quatrain is supposed to be its own sort of self-contained... That's what you get when you fucking play with a rubber band. So, basically, he's setting up this metaphor throughout the entire poem, because even though each quatrain is sort of self-contained, there are themes that run through an entire sonnet. He's setting up the idea that he is a fortified town, which is an image that perhaps less so in England, but more in like France or Italy or something, would have been a very common image in this era.
Oh, that's right, because England's so isolated, relatively, to other
Well, also because it was a unified country. Yeah. So there's going to be less sort of infighting, like... Italy was not a country at this time. It was a bunch of isolated states.
Well, kind of like Greece was.
Yeah, and France was less so that. There were larger sections, but, the more King of France only actually controlled part of it, and then there was the Duchy of Burgundy, and there were a bunch of other areas.
Yeah. And Germany at this time was still completely...
Oh, yeah, that was just like Italy. It was a bunch of separate states.
Yeah.
It wasn't even Germany. It was like it was part of the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I've never actually been to Germany, but I've been to England, France, and Italy, and I'm basing this on the fact that I visited and stayed in a lot of walled towns in both France and Italy, but none really in England, or very little. But so he says, batter my heart, three-personed God. So first of all, three-personed God is obviously a reference to the Trinity. We have our resident Catholic expert here, except that I probably actually know more about medieval Catholicism than he does, but whatever.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Apparently it's all like bullshit and has no bearing on the modern world, but whatever. I was really saddened to hear that.
Yep.
But he starts by saying, batter my heart, which is supposed to invoke the image of, using a battering ram to break in the gate of this town. Which is a pretty violent and kind of sexual image already that we're starting out with. Which sets the tone for the poem. And he's saying, like, as yet you but knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend. She's basically saying, you're being all nice and gentle with me. And that's not how we like it. And he uses a lot of... One of the things that Donne does a lot is to make points by seeming to contradict himself, which goes back to the conceit idea. I believe in my English lit textbook from high school, it described it as unlike things yoked together by violence, which is very much in evidence in this poem. He says, that I may rise and stand or throw me. So he's saying, throw me to the ground so that I can stand up.
Yes, rise to stand. Very Shakespearean euphemism.
He only knows this because I explained it to him.
What? No, my 10th grade English teacher explained that to me.
Oh, the meaning of stand?
Yes. He was very smart in getting, teenage boys interested in English.
Oh, really?
He knew exactly how to do it.
But yes. So this is, and this is going to be a little bit scandalous in some ways, especially considering the time period that this was written, but it's kind of fitting, because, and this is where the sex comes into Donne's religious poems, is that he views the relationship between the worshipper, the, male worshipper, because who the fuck writes from a woman's point of view, especially if it's a guy writing, relationship with God as a love relationship. And of course, you're not going to have God play the woman's part. No. That doesn't happen in a patriarchal religion. Except for those hermit images where, Jesus was lactating and feeding them, but that's kind of weird.
I want to feel you deep inside me, Jesus.
But, except for that, usually, so if God's taking on the male role in this relationship, the worshipper, who is also male, has to take on the female role.
Ooh, kinky. Yes.
Okay, medieval and early modern religious thought is extremely kinky. Considering that I spent several years of my life studying it, oh yes. So the interesting thing, so he says, or throw me to the ground, which is a very female thing. That he says, I'm going to be on the bottom here. But you overthrowing me is going to make me stand. Which is then, it's reasserting his... I made that joke a long time ago. It's old now. It's just like... So, this is a contradiction on the very literal level that you are going to rise by being thrown down, but it's also, by me taking the female position, it's going to make me more male. So he's contradicting himself on multiple levels here. And then
he's just so sexually confused. He shouldn't want this because he's a reformed religious person, but he just can't help it. Did that suddenly get brighter?
I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
That light there.
It's possible. He says, bend your force to break, blow, burn, and make me new. Which is supposed to contrast the two lines previously where he says, knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend.
Hi, kitty.
So these things are supposed to be, knock with break, breathe with blow, shine with burn, and seek to mend with make me new. That he's saying, I am such a sinner as I am unfixable. You can't fix me by being gentle with me. You have to be rough with me in order to save me.
Oh, that's so cute.
Thor, what are you doing? You've never done that before. And so this is
he's on camera.
He's not on camera.
Well, he
might be. Come here, Thor. Well, never mind. Never mind. That this is the opening quatrain, that he's setting up this knock, breathe, burn versus, or knock, breathe, shine versus break, blow, burn dichotomy. In the first quatrain, that he's saying, you can't be gentle with me, you have to be rough with me.
God is love. God is life.
I don't know where he's going with this.
Oh, I never showed you that Shrek is love, Shrek is life thing.
No, that's and then in the next one, he gets really deeply into the town metaphor, where he says, "I like a usurped town to another do labor to admit you." Which, okay, first of all, labor to admit you, if that's not a sexual metaphor, I don't know what is. But this goes with the batter my heart in the first quatrain, that he says, when you have a town that's besieged and you want to surrender, another euphemism there, and you want to open your gates to the conquerors, they'll come in. He's saying, I, as a besieged town, want to do this, but I'm not being allowed to. And he says, reason your viceroy in me should defend. So, this is, as a contrast to all the sexual and emotionally charged imagery, this was moving into the Age of Reason, and where the
Age of Reason just named by Protestants.
Yes. Where they felt that, the thinking man's path would be religious, which I know is this really hard concept for a lot of us to understand, because our thought, we view science and religion as being opposed.
Which is bullshit.
Yes. But in this time period, that was very much not the case. The first discoverings of scientific thought, for them, actually confirmed religious beliefs, because they're like, well, the fact that the world around us has order and moves in harmony with these laws, well, obviously somebody must have set up these laws, and if it all works so perfectly, this is an example of, forgive me for using this phrase, I can't believe I would ever use this phrase, but intelligent design.
What's wrong with intelligent design?
When it comes into the classroom, there's something wrong with it.
Well, I told you about how it's taught in Australia, right?
Yes, well, Australians are geniuses.
They teach every religion. I'm not even sure we were taught the Christian one at all in science class.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I think that this is really genius. Is that Phonies went to at least a semi-religious school, but they taught about every religion, and they actually downpedaled Christianity, because they're like, we assume that since you chose to go to a Christian religious school, you already know about Christianity, so we're just going to focus on all the other religions. This is why I say that Australians are geniuses, because who the fuck would ever do that in America?
Well, I told you that thing that happened to my bank card. Clearly that wasn't genius. Let's move on.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about your bank card. But that's why he refers to reason as God's viceroy, because of the concept that reason and knowledge and scientific thought will actually guide you to religion, as opposed to away from it, the way we see it now as the two things being diametrically opposed. So, reason is the viceroy. He's supposed to be coming and unlocking the gates and opening it up and letting the conquering armies into the town, i.e. the speaker of the poem. But he, unfortunately, is captive and proves weak or untrue. Reason, the guy who's supposed to be opening the gates, has been captured by somebody else. And so he can't open the gates. And then again, he says, I love you, but I'm betrothed unto your enemy. So basically what he's saying here, and this is another very kind of sexual metaphor, the idea of I would love you, but I'm promised to somebody else.
To Satan.
Yeah, basically that he says, I love you and I want you to love me, but because I am a creature of flesh in the material world, I belong to the devil. which, I believe the implication being that
can't help himself.
That is that the devil is the one who captured reason and is preventing him from opening the gates and stuff. And so then we get into the final section where he says, I'm betrothed unto your enemy. And then he says, divorce me, untie, or break the knot again. He says, as a creature of flesh, I am betrothed to the devil. But I want to be with you, so
take me for yourself.
Divorce me, break this bond, which again is a huge sort of irony, because even though they're no longer Catholic, the Anglican Church is, or at least was in this time period, extremely anti-divorce.
Really? It wasn't that Henry VIII?
That was not a divorce, that was an annulment. That is...
Wasn't there 2 divorces, though?
Well, no, there were 2 annulments. Henry VIII did not believe in divorce.
He only believed in sleeping around.
No.
Well, no, but yeah, I know, but still.
Henry VIII was weird, okay, because... and that's a time period that I have studied a lot. They've pointed out that, everybody's like, oh my god, he had 6 wives. Except that the truth is that Henry VIII actually probably slept with fewer women than his contemporaries. The difference was that because his conscience was so extreme, he felt the need to marry pretty much every woman he slept with. As opposed to other kings who only had 1 wife, but they just slept with and discarded a lot of women along the way. So no, he did not believe in sleeping around.
I mean, that's basically why his line ended, because he didn't have a bunch of bastards to take over.
No, that had nothing to do with him sleeping around.
Syphilis as well, but yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he actually had syphilis. It's a long story. I'm gonna have to go reread my books about that. But no, he did. He had. Clearly, there was something wrong with him. He was not able to have children very easily.
Well, he had one, didn't he?
He had 1 bastard son who he was actually grooming to succeed him, but the kid died when he was
No, didn't he have a daughter?
He had 4 kids. He had the 1 bastard son who died. He had the 2 daughters who both ruled to the full course of their lives. And he had 1 legitimate son who also died when he was 18 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he just was not able to... Well, I mean, he had a lot of other children, but they were all either stillborn or died within a few weeks.
Yeah.
He just was incapable of producing healthy children for whatever reason. That had nothing to do with his unwillingness to sleep around.
But that would have helped, probably.
I don't know about that. So the fact that the author is telling God, who's supposed to be opposed to divorce him, is a really kind of shocking, scandalous thing, and plays into the whole conceit, yoking unusual things together. And then we get to the big sort of punchline at the end. This is, in the couplet, which at the end of an English sonnet sums up everything. He saves his most powerful lines for this, and I do think this is brilliant. First we have the first line. It says, "Except you enthrall me, never shall be free," which obviously is a pretty powerful contrast, and you'd think that would be a good enough ending for the poem. But the second line is even, "Nor ever chaste, except you ravish me." And at that point, it's not subtle at all. And this is... I'm trying to figure out, and I realize I'm very drunk here, but I'm trying to figure out how to put this in words that, because I fucking love this poem. or at least say, I fucking love the final couplet of this poem. I think it's so brilliant. And it brings in all of these cultural ideas, the whole like concept of eros and agape and everything that was part of the Renaissance and part of the medieval mysticism movement and all this stuff. It's really awesome, and I'm really fucking drunk.
Yes, you are.
So,
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
the fuck. So, basically, it started. So the idea that having these sort of sexual feelings makes somebody religiously better. It plays into all of this stuff that the idea, it started in the medieval mysticism movement where the mystics would portray themselves as the lover of God or the lover of the Virgin Mary or whatever, and that having this idealized love made them better and more devout people. And then it moved into the courtly love tradition where, you know, the troubadours and the poor knights and stuff had like this sexualized idealization of their overlords and patrons' wives, but the idea was that, you know, these women were models and inspiration, and they, you know, made them into better people by, you know, inspiring them to follow these ideals. So the idea that if you ravish me, it will make me chaste, i.e. a more religious person, just encapsulates all of that, which I think is just the coolest thing ever. And I'm really fucking drunk. So I should and we've been going for like an hour, so I should probably cut this video off now.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.